Hello everyone and welcome back to This Is Real Life. I'm your host Sheri, and today, once again, we are keeping cool inside and we are going to do this DIY Wednesday video in the air conditioning on the family room floor. And what are we gonna do today? Well, I'll tell you. We are going to do a little thing I like to call We Can Make That. I was perusing the internets and I came across this very expensive, I know there's actual physical locations, but a very expensive website, and it is called West Elm. West Elm has some pretty cool shit, but it's really expensive. I came across this really neat looking planter, pot, if you will. It's a dipped basket planter, and this is the small one. See that there? Now, upon closer inspection, what does that look like to you? What is that made out of to you? Because to me, it's made out of Dollar Tree Jenga blocks. So of course, when I saw it, I was like, those are Jenga blocks all glued together, and the bottom third is painted white. And while I know it is round, I think I have a plan in place. I was like, that's actually pretty cute. Then I looked at the price. This is called the small, and it is $100. $100. And by small, they mean it is 8 inches round and 7.5 inches high. That's not that high. 7.5. That's like that high. That's not high at all. That round and like that high. For $100. Yeah. But I mean, 8 inches by 7.5 inches, too small for you? Oh, don't worry, because they do have a large. Here it is right here. And it is darling with those little leather strap handle situations. Darling, super darling. 11 inches in diameter by 9.5 inches high. You wanna know how much this one is? It's $200, made out of Jenga blocks and a couple pieces of leather. Seriously. Of course, I was like, I can make that and I can save myself, if we make the large one, a good $195. If we make the small one, a good $95. So I went to the Dollar Tree so we can make, I'm gonna call it the Jenga pot for lack of a better term. Let me tell you what I got. I actually got way more than I needed as far as supplies because my Dollar Tree restocked a bunch of stuff, but what I did get were our Jenga blocks. Davis and I did the math on the small one. Davis figured that we would need like 4.5 boxes, so I got 5. I think I got 6 actually. I did get 6. So I was like, who knows? If this goes well, I might make the big one. I don't know if your Dollar Tree has started to veer into the better craft section yet, but mine is very slowly. So I got this craft glue. Don't know if we'll use it or not, but I got it because it was $1. I also got some tacky glue for $1. I don't know, I just got some I'm like, oh, I'll take that for $1. I'll take that for $1. I do need some more utility knives, so I got those. I got some more foam brushes. I did get some more glue sticks from the Dollar Tree because I figured we're gonna use glue sticks. I did get some white paint, but not that same shitty ass white paint I got for the mixed tiles. It's by Crayola. We'll see if this white paint works at all on our pot. More paint brushes. Oh, this is what I got for this project in particular. I have never seen this at the Dollar Tree before. The original super glue, and it is wood glue. We're gonna use this Dollar Tree wood glue on this Jenga pot. So yeah. Oh, I also got the Fix All adhesive, just in case. I don't know. But for this project, we literally need, let's get away all that. That was like, how those YouTubers do it. Dollar Tree haul video, that was mine. For this project, I'm literally gonna use the wood glue. I'm gonna use some hot glue, 5 boxes of Jenga blocks. Oh, and this paint, if it works. All this other stuff, this is just like periphery dollar items that I threw in my basket at the Dollar Tree. So yeah, let's get this going. As with every DIY project I tackle, in my head, it's completely going to work. When we actually get right down to it, it could be a gigantic epic fail. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I opened up 5 boxes of Jenga blocks and I just dumped them in this box so they would be easier for me to get. Now, I got this paper plate. because the diameter of the $100 version of this pot is 8 inches. And it is it's like 8.5 inches from edge to edge. So I'm gonna use this to form my circle of Jenga blocks. This is not gonna have a base right away. We're just gonna make the cylinder portion. I wanna get my Jenga blocks close enough to where that gap, if they were far, that gap is really wide. If they were close, that gap is tighter and tighter and tighter. So I wanna make sure that I have as small as a gap as I can get and make a circle. In that gap, when everything is said and done, I'm gonna fill all those little tiny gaps with wood filler, and then I'll lightly sand it all, and then when I stain it, you won't even be able to tell. That's my plan. So first off, I need to make that base circle, because this base is what we're going to be gluing everything onto. So I wanna get an idea of how many Jenga blocks it takes. See, so that space right there is not big enough for a Jenga block. So what I wanna do is take this out, and now I know I'm gonna use this many Jenga blocks, but I'm just gonna tighten it up, make that circle a little tighter. So we wanna make sure they're all touching and that we keep our circle circular. That looks pretty damn good. It looks like a really good circle, actually. How am I gonna keep that circle? I'm gonna do some measuring, I think. Actually, I'm gonna get a piece of paper. I'll be right back. To keep my circle uniform, I just went and got a piece of paper. I'm gonna trace the paper plate onto the paper, and then I'm gonna put my circle around that. And I'm actually going to glue my first layer onto the piece of paper. The piece of paper will rip off, the bottom when we're ready to build our base. But for now, this is gonna be my guide in keeping my circle pattern circular. So once I have my circle perfectly on this piece of paper, I'm gonna remove one, glue it down, remove one, glue it down. And actually, what would come in handy is that craft glue that I bought from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I couldn't take it. I was wasting half of my life messing around, getting the circle perfect without having something to bump the blocks up against. So then I wasted another half of my life looking all around the house for something that was the perfect fit. And it just so happens this 2-pack bowl from the Dollar Tree is the perfect fit. The plastic bowl that is 44 ounces, this bowl makes it the perfect circle, no cutting any Jenga blocks, everything lines up perfectly. I love it so much. Now I have my bowl, my paper, my circle, and we can get our craft glue that I put back in the bag. Do I need scissors? Son of a bitch. Smells like glue. Want to make sure it's running. Yep, it's running. We are going to now glue our Jenga blocks onto our paper so they don't move around when we're building up our cylinder. Let me get scissors and all that, and then we'll start gluing. Okay, so not difficult. We're just gonna pick one up, put a bead of glue along the bottom so that we can just put it right back where we found it, and go around and do this so we have our nice little base. While I was, searching the planet for the perfect circular shape, I started thinking to myself, we do so many we can make that, and we save ourselves so much money. This is gonna be another case in point, because I know this is gonna work. Might have just glued that to my tile floor. So I was thinking, I can't believe places charge what they charge for things that we've been just knocking out left and right. We got this idea from West Elm. Some things can't make ourselves from West Elm, but this I think we can make ourselves. We could call ourselves East Elm, North Elm, and make these. Cost us what, maybe $7, charge half the price, 50 bucks. That's a pretty damn good markup. I mean, our time, yes, is also part of it, but I'm just saying. Oh, this for sure is gonna glue onto my tile. Also, about this glue, it comes with this cute little lid that you can close up after you're done using it. Yeah, if you don't cut too far down to where this little nozzle is too wide for this stinking lid to fit into, which is exactly what I did. I wish they would have said something like, don't cut too far down. Yeah, I might just have to get some tape. Otherwise, this glue's going to waste. We'll deal with that later. Next up, we're just gonna start building up. I'm gonna glue this next row so that the center of this Jenga block is lined up with the center of the crack. Here's the crack of the row below it. So I want this Jenga block to go there. every other Jenga block will just fit perfectly. Before I begin gluing anything, I want to build that second row. Make sure I'm lined up all the way around. Everything is touching. Then we will use our Dollar Tree super glue wood glue and glue on our second row, and then our third row, and then our fourth row, and then our fifth row until we reach 7.5 inches high or however high we want it. That's the plan. We're just building a cylinder out of Jenga blocks. Nothing much to it. I'm just gonna place and glue, place and glue, place and glue. There are some Jenga blocks which I have not been paying attention to that have writing on them. So make sure you put those to the inside. I need to make sure that everybody is touching its neighbor. That way we know we keep our circle perfect. Oh my gosh. Seriously, West Elm? Like, come on. This is it, you guys. Like, this step 800 times. 2 rows gets us a little over an inch. 14 rows, not too bad. All right, I better start gluing. Hopefully this super glue wood glue that was $1, A, lasts this entire project, and B, works just as nicely as my all-time favorite Type Bomb wood glue. We will soon see. Okay, so I'm thinking the super glue wood glue is working pretty good. You do have a little bit of time to play. I like glued like maybe 5 or 6 and then went around and made sure that I, had them pressed down. And it seems like the wood glue is doing good. That makes me happy. So this is a lovely project for staying cool indoors, put on a movie, just glue, glue, glue until your heart's content. And you may be thinking to yourself, Sheri, that pot that we saw from West Elm was super smooth and yours looks kind of like, I know, don't worry. We're gonna fix all of that at the end. It's called wood putty and a little bit of sandpaper. It's gonna be beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna keep gluing and then you'll see it when it's about yay high. Okay, I am at 4 inches right now, so we are halfway done with the gluing process. Davis just came home and he was like, dang, that must be taking you forever. And I said, actually, it's not. I've been timing myself. And to get 4 inches, it has only taken me not even 30 minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes. So it goes very fast. And I am quite impressed with the wood glue. I thought I was gonna need my hot glue gun and do the old put a dot of hot glue and then the wood glue just so that everything would be dry so I could build upon, but this wood glue is actually working out pretty good. I don't need to use a dot of hot glue at all, which is saving a lot of time. So I probably should unplug that, and I didn't need to buy these. So there, I'm thinking it's looking really, really good right now. 6 more rows will give us another 4 inches. I thought it was gonna take 14 rows, but maybe it'll only take 12 rows, 11 rows. Who knows how many rows? We could make it as tall as we want. It's our own thing. We just went to West Elm for inspiration, although I'm gonna try to make it as exact to the dimensions as possible so that I too can charge $100 for this when I wanna sell it. Just kidding, I'm not selling it because it's gonna be so cute. I am going to use it myself. I still have my bowl in there because I'm too nervous to reach in and take it out until everything's completely dry. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep gluing. Maybe in another 30 minutes, I'll be all the way done. So I'm at 11 rows high. It puts me at 7 inches. 1 more row, 12 rows high, 14 around in a circle. And that gives us 24, 26. How many come in this? 36. So that's why we had to buy 5. But all we need to do is glue this row on and then our cute little cylinder will be done. And voila, We are done. It took me 1 hour to glue them all down, which isn't bad at all. And as of right now, it has only cost us $6. I'm loving the super glue, wood glue. If you didn't do a lot of woodworking projects to where you needed a good amount, then I would say get this. It works pretty good. I'd buy this for $1 all day, every day. It wouldn't be that cost effective if you did a lot of woodworking projects and you needed a lot of wood glue. But for what we're doing today, $1 make you holla. I like it. Way better than that white paint that we bought the last time. Yeah, I just need to let this dry. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to move it. Our next step after it is all the way dry is to take some wood filler, which unfortunately they do not sell at the Dollar Tree, and go in and wood fill all of these little gaps in our cylinder. Once the gaps are dry, the plan is that I'm gonna go around and sand everything. I think it's gonna be a pretty good cylinder once we get everything said and done, but it might still have a little bit of a around it. I'm gonna try to do my best to avoid that and make it as super smooth as I possibly can. And then we're going to cut a bottom, pop that in, stain it, paint it, and call it done. So it's gonna stay right here. And then we'll finish it up once it's all dry. Okay, so we are back. It is another day. We have our cylinder all made, glued, everything is perfect, minus one little thing. Keeping the circle completely circular as we're building up was a little bit difficult, and I notice now that we're done, while to the naked, untrained eye, it looks like it's a perfect circle. There's the bottom, there's the top. It makes a little bit of an indent in the circle right about here. And that was really bothering me. Even though you can't really tell, I can tell. So I was like, how can we fix that so that we're not trying to eyeball this all the way up like 14 or 16 rows and keep it a circle? So I did think of a better way. And that better way is build 3 rows high at a time. So take your bowl, take your paper, and do not glue your first row to the paper like I did originally. Build your first circle loose, and then glue your second circle on top of that, and then build your third circle on top of that. Remove that circle and then do another set of 3. Remove that circle, do another set of 3, and when you have 4 stacks of 3, then you glue those together, and that keeps everything perfectly circular the entire way up. So basically, now that everything's glued, all we need to do is go in and spend 1,000,000 hours putting wood putty in all of these little cracks. I'm going to simply use my finger, nothing spectacular. I did go out and, spend some dollar bills. I mean, not that many dollar bills. I want to say it was like maybe $7 or $10. I was looking for something a little smaller, but either A, it was out of stock, or B, they don't make a smaller version of this. I wanted to get the stainable because I am going to stain the majority of this, and I wanted to make sure that the wood filler stained as well as best as possible, and we didn't see discolored lines in where we're wood filling in our cracks. Like I said, I'm just gonna use my finger, kind of shove that wood filler in there real good, and then mush it in and rub my finger back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I wanna make sure that I keep it as clean as possible. That will make for less sanding at the end. And then once that's done, we get to sand it. And voila. All the wood filling is done. It does make a little bit of a mess on your floor, but it just sweeps right up. So don't worry about that if you're doing it inside to keep cool. I mean, you could put down like some paper or something to clean up a breeze, but I didn't do that. We just gotta wait for all of this wood filler to dry. Once wood filler dries, it does have a tendency to like shrink or sink down. So might just want to look at it after it's dry, which shouldn't be too long from now, and see if there's any spots where we need to go over and fill in again before we begin sanding and then staining. And then, oh, we do need to put a bottom on at some point, which we will do when we go to the garage to sand. Voila. Starting to really look like that West Elm one, don't you think? Once this is dry, we'll move out to the garage and kind of sweat a little bit, but it won't be for too long. Okay, so now that all of our wood filler is dry, it's time to put our base onto our cylinder. And as I was sitting here like getting everything ready, and I was looking at it, I was thinking, you know what? Clearly this is only decorative. You can't like put soil in this and put water in it. You're gonna have to put a pot inside of this. So then I was thinking, do you really even need a base? Couldn't you just set this tube on the ground and then put a pot inside of it and call it done? You really could. We're not gonna do that, but the extremely lazy person and the extremely hot person is like, you could just use this and put this on the ground and then put a pot inside. So if you don't have any scrap wood in the garage and you don't feel like putting a base on this, you honestly do not have to. But for this DIY, and because we are doing a We Can Make That, we're gonna put a base on. It's not gonna be that difficult. We're just going to trace the inside of our cylinder. I just pulled some scrap wood from over there. You know it. Look, I already have a circle cut out for something. I don't know what. So I'm gonna trace the inside, and then we're going to take our jigsaw and we're gonna cut that out, and then we're gonna wood glue it to the inside lip. I want the base to be inside so you don't see the base lip when you're staring at it. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. And then once this is glued in here, we can go ahead and sand the whole thing and get it ready for paint and stain. So let's get our jigsaw and cut our circle. Oh, don't worry, I'm staying hydrated. I should probably move this while I jigsaw. So, you know, one of my favorite tools, the jigsaw. Not hard to use, don't be scared of it. It's a good, like, first tool in the collection of tools, and it does a lot. It's pretty lightweight, and it's really easy to use, especially when you're cutting circles. So, I think I'm gonna go this way, and I'm just gonna follow the line of my circle. Easy. Yay. Okay, so circle, cut, and in a wonderful perfect world, it fits beautifully just on the inside. We might have to finesse it just a hair. Maybe I need to cut it a little bit more. I cut on the outside of my line, and I should have cut on the inside of my line. So let me just trim this up just a minute, and then we'll fit it in place. We're trimmed up, and now we fit inside of our tube. Now, I do have some gaps, not gonna lie, but again, I'm not filling this planter with dirt or water. So as long as I have some areas on the base where the wood glue will stick to the cylinder, I'm fine with it. And if I really wanted to, I could fill in the gaps with wood putty. I'm going to take my super glue wood glue that I got from the Dollar Tree and just run a bead of it along my base. Even though I know some spots are not gonna touch the cylinder, I don't know what those spots are just yet. Whatever sticks, sticks. Whatever doesn't, doesn't. Perfect. Now I'm gonna flip it over and set it on the ground, making sure it's level, and then wait for it to dry. Okay, I am calling the base dry enough because I'm sweating my balls off and I wanna go inside. I wanna get this sanded. Now, did I go in and put wood filler in the cracks where my base was not touching my cylinder? Why, yes, I did. Was it necessary? No, it wasn't. Does it make me feel a little bit better about the clean line that I have with no gaps? It totally does. You don't have to do that. No one is going to see the bottom of this. And like I mentioned before, you don't even have to have a base if you don't want to. So now that my base is on, I am going to sand all of this, all my wood filler bumps, smooth. I know the West Elm one was a perfect cylinder. And ours, because we made it out of Jenga blocks, it has more of like octagon, hexagon, pentagon, whatever. Am I going to be able to sand this completely smooth so it's a completely smooth circle? No, I'm not. But I'm going to just knock off these high points as much as possible to make it look like a smooth cylinder as much as I can. So I do have my palm sander, and it is fashioned with my new, it is fashioned with my new favorite sandpaper by 3M, hashtag not sponsored. I'm gonna go around it with 80 grit and then probably go to a finer grit, maybe a 120, just to make sure it's super smooth before we end up staining and painting it. Sanding! And all the sand dust is gonna stick all over to my sweaty body, but that's okay. Okay, we are back in the house. Thank goodness, because it is so hot outside. But you guys are gonna die when you see how smooth and how many of those points I was able to knock down to make this really look like a cylinder. I'm kind of impressed. I did go a little crazy on the sanding because when I first started, I was like, dang, I can really get off a lot of those points. So it's super duper smooth and looks really, really great. Now there is still a little bit of a, octagon-ish shape to it, but it's not nearly what it was before we sanded. Like, it looks pretty damn cylindrical, if you ask me. So all we have left is stain and paint, and we will be done. When I look at the picture from West Elm, it looks to me like the white paint is about a third of the way up. So I'm gonna go ahead and divide this pot into thirds, which is pretty easy because we have 12 rows of Jenga blocks. I'm gonna count up 4 Jenga blocks, and even though they make a straight line, I'm gonna go ahead and put some painter's tape right along the top of the 4th row so that I can stain to there, and then hopefully don't have any like bleeding or anything like that for when we wanna paint our white paint. I'm just following the natural line that the Jenga blocks made. So we are going to stain. What did I pick up? What color is this? Oh, dark walnut. I think that's like the universal, everybody picks dark walnut stain. I picked it because the West Elm pot is really, really dark and then has that bright white. So there's a nice contrast. Now, obviously you could pick any stain you want and any color paint you wanted, but I am just making this exactly like the West Elm one. So I have my Dollar Tree sponge brushes, and then I also have just a scrap of a piece of old t-shirt so that I can wipe it away. So we're gonna stain. So I'm gonna try to be as neat as possible just because I am on my dining room floor, but I did put down 2 sheets of paper, and this is tile, so I'm not super worried. It's a water-based stain. I'll be able to clean it up if I get any on my tile. I'm not worried about it. So I am just using my little sponge brush, dipping it on in, and staining away. Ooh. Now it looks like these Jenga blocks are absorbing pretty quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that stain right away. Ooh, that color looks nice. I feel like a little bit of stain is gonna go a long way. And I also want to stain the inside as well, just cause. Wipe, 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 wipe. Ooh, it's looking good. So I'm gonna finish the stain on the exterior, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stain the inside, and then we can paint the bottom white, and then we'll be done. Okay, so yay, the staining is done and it looks pretty good if you ask me. All that is left to do is paint the bottom third. So to keep it all Dollar Tree all the time, I did pick up this Crayola washable white paint. I don't know. It's not that same paint that I bought, you know, for the mixed tiles, and Crayola is like a brand. Don't worry though, because I am prepared. If this doesn't cover, I went and got an actual real live can of white paint just to have. I'm prepared. But if this Crayola Dollar Tree paint works out, you're good to go. I'd rather just freehand the line since there's already a line there rather than risk taping over the stain. So I'm gonna undo this. And I knew our line was not gonna be perfect under the stain, but that's okay because we're painting white right over it. Hopefully this Crayola paint covers because we do have some darkness to cover up. I'm sure you're curious to see about this white Crayola paint as well. I don't even know what I'm looking for because the first paint that I bought, it looked good to me too. So at least it's on my skin as white paint. So that's a good sign. No idea if this is a satin, semi-gloss, matte, eggshell finish. It's just Crayola white paint. So I'm gonna go as close to the line as I can. We'll see how it goes. Oh, well, look what we have here. Some actual white paint from the Dollar Tree. Yay for that. Yeah, it looks white-ish. I want it to be really, really opaque. I might do more than this coat, or I might switch over to my white paint that I got at the Lowe's. But we'll do the base in this and let it dry and see what happens. Okay, so really quickly, I did want to show you what the Crayola white paint from the Dollar Tree is doing. This is 2 coats. Now, I haven't gone in and detailed that line with a paintbrush yet. I can still see through in some areas. It's not bad though. And on camera, you probably can't even tell that it's not as opaque as I would like it to be. So I'm gonna let this dry and then I am going to get a paint brush and not this sponge brush. And I'm gonna detail up that line and maybe go over it with a 3rd coat. But really, for the most part, the Crayola white paint, not so bad. Pretty good for $1. Okay, our West Elm $100 pot is completely done and it looks so good. You guys are going to die. Dun, 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 dun. Look at how amazing. Seriously. And hold on, wait for this one. Dun, 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 dun. It looks even more beautiful with a real live plant in it. We made this amazing pot with Jenga blocks. Seriously, are you kidding me right now? So really, what'd it take? $5 worth of Dollar Tree Jenga blocks. We used that wood glue from the Dollar Tree that I think is amazing. It works just as great as Type Bond wood glue. This thing is sturdy. Now would I go and buy like 10 of them for $10 to get the same amount that I get in my giant tub of Type Bond wood glue? No, that's not very cost effective. But if you just need a little bit of wood glue, $1 for that, amazing. A little bit of stain and some white paint. Now, the paint from the dollar store is giving me some issues. While that Crayola white paint was way better than that original whatever acrylic white paint I got from the Dollar Tree, I did have to use 3 coats of the Crayola paint. And even after 3 coats, first off, it dried to like a yellowy, dingy white, which I was not a fan of. Secondly, where I had stained from the inside, some of the stain had seeped out of like the cracks. It bled completely through that Crayola paint. So I ended up doing a 4th coat with real live leftover white house paint that I had. And that gave me the finish that is perfection. I don't know if you can really get away with white paint from the Dollar Tree for this, but if you could and you just wanted to layer it up and layer it up and layer it up and layer it up, you could get away with the Crayola white paint from the Dollar Tree. So that is all in all $7 in Dollar Tree purchases, and then some stain. Now, if we wanted to keep this true Dollar Tree, I have seen people actually use Dollar Tree shoe polish as stain. I myself have never tried it, and I think every time I look for it, it's always out. So I can't speak to as if it really works, but I have seen people on the YouTube use the shoe polish as wood stain. So you could actually get shoe polish as stain, the Crayola white paint. Just be prepared to paint 8 million coats of it, your 5 boxes of Jenga blocks, and your wood glue. And you're looking at literally $8 in purchase product to recreate $100 West Elm pot. If that's not amazing, I don't know what is. And I was very, very surprised at how round I was able to get it after the sanding. You know, because, you know, when you butt the Jenga blocks up together, they make those little points. So it's kind of looking like a weird octagon-y-ish shape with the points, which wasn't bad if you didn't want to sand it. I think that is a pretty cool look in itself. But because I was really trying to replicate that West Elm one, I wanted to sand it to see how smooth I could get it. And it is pretty damn smooth. It's not all the way like super cylindrical, but for the most part, it's pretty damn good. And I am pretty impressed that I now own $100 West Elm pot, which I would have never purchased ever, ever, ever in real life, ever. There you have it, and there it is. $6, $7, $8 worth of Dollar Tree stuff, and we recreated a $100 pot. You gotta love it. Speaking of love, if you love this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Be sure to ring that notification bell so that you are alerted to all of the DIY Wednesday videos I push out every other Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you share this video with your family and friends. And as always, thanks for hanging out.